Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to The Discriminating Gamer. You know, my bartender girlfriend recently broke up with me, but I hope she gives me another shot. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at my top 10 high fantasy games of all time. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so today we're taking a look at my top 10 high fantasy games of all time. These, of course, are swords and sorcery and wizards and dragons. That's what I'm talking about with high fantasy here. So different genres, that is to say different types of mechanics in games are going on here, but essentially that's basically what they share, is this theme of high fantasy. So let's go ahead. I'm going to give you some honorable mentions. I got a lot of honorable mentions here. First of all, game I recently played and reviewed, Risk Godstorm. Great Risk game set in kind of the ancient Earth with various powers and gods there. D&D Onslaught. This is a great Dungeons & Dragons game where you've got kind of these different initiative values and the different monsters are coming at you as you're trying to complete quests. It's very fun. Divine Right. Now, this is originally a game that was back in the olden days of the 1980s, I think, and they recently reprinted it. Pongo Games reprinted it, and it's a war game, but there's kind of diplomacy aspects, and you're moving kind of hex and counter units around trying to defeat your enemies on the board. War Party. This was a game that I played years ago for the first time, and I actually gave it away to a friend, and then he was going to get rid of it, so I got it back. I keep thinking I want to play it again at some point, but it's kind of a fun game where the different corners of the board, you've got different kind of fantasy factions that are going to be fighting each other. That's a very fun game. Masters of the Universe, which of course is based on the He-Man series. That was a lot of fun, kind of a one versus all. One of you is the hero fighting all the villains, or one of you is the villain fighting all the heroes. You can play it either way, which was a really cool innovation. I ended up giving this one away to Ray, but I really liked it. The Lord of the Rings deck building game. This is based on the Cerberus engine from the DC Comics deck building game. That one is very fun. Nightmare Chess, which is a great chess variant where you essentially have a bunch of different cards that let you do all sorts of mean and funky and cruel things with the units on the board. And finally, Fantasy Realms, which is a great kind of card scoring game where you're trying to manipulate the cards in your hand to score the most effectively toward the end of the game. Those are the honorable mentions. Let me go ahead now and get into the actual list. Number 10. This is from Lucky Duck Games' Destinies. Now, this is an app-driven game in which players are going on these missions. They're trying to seek quests. They're meeting up with different people along the way. And what's really cool here is you've got these player boards, and how you can like choose to push your luck and risk dice is really cool, and try to gain abilities on these boards is really a lot of fun. But it's a very fun story-driven adventure game that is a lot of fun, great fantasy theme, and the app integration works very well here. So that is my number 10, Destinies, and that is from Lucky Duck Games. My number 9 is a game that was originally released, again, I think toward the end of the 1980s. I never played it back then. In fact, I just played it for the first time last year. I played it a few times. I got one of the expansions I played with, and this is HeroQuest. HeroQuest is a great game. One of you is the sorcerer. The rest are adventurers who are moving through this maze, and there's surprises and traps, and all sorts of funky things will pop up over the course of this game that's a lot of fun. But it's really, it really, for as old a game as this is, it still felt very engaging. And my friends and I that have played it have had a lot of fun with HeroQuest and the various adventures that you could go on with your friends, the different quests that are out there. A lot of surprises in this game. Really enjoyed HeroQuest. That's my number 9 from Avalon Hill. My number 8 is a fantasy game that was just released, I think earlier this year, either late last year or earlier this year. But it was a game that my friends and I thoroughly enjoyed, and this is Battle of the Deep from Renegade Game Studios. Battle of the Deep powered by Axis and Allies. Essentially, this is a fantasy Axis and Allies of various underwater kingdoms as they are attempting to dominate their enemies. They're trying to get to a fixed score, a fixed point score. But essentially, like I say, you've got mermaids, and you've got turtles that can take a lot of damage. You got flying fish that can go to different places, and it's really a kind of a weird thing, but it's really fun. And great dice combat game. If you like dice checking game, if you like Axis and Allies, you'll really get a kick out of this. And what's really fun is a lot of, like I said, a lot of the different units have different abilities, and there's different things they can do during the game that keep it fun and asymmetrical and different, and you're always watching what your opponents are doing. Great game. That is Battle for the Deep, powered by Axis and Allies from Renegade Game Studios, my number 8. My number 7 is a game that, again, just came out last year, and it was a riff on a game, an older game. But this is Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle-earth. This, of course, was based on the Seven Wonders Duel game. But essentially, what you're doing here is you got 2 players. One of you is playing kind of the forces of Sauron. One of you is playing the free peoples of Middle-earth, the hobbits, what have you. And it's great because you got the card system where some of the cards are face up, some of the cards are face down, and there's kind of a tree, and you kind of have to select the cards from the bottom, but they give you different things. You can move forward on kind of the track to Mount Doom, or you can place buildings in Middle-earth, you know, or you can try to recruit the free peoples and get them on your side. And you're kind of building these tableaus that increasingly make you stronger and more powerful, but you're always keeping an eye on what your enemy is doing because they may be able to pull some rabbits out of their hat. But it's a great, fun, and thematic Lord of the Rings game, and it's just a fantastic fantasy adventure that I have enjoyed very, very much. In fact, I got rid of Seven Wonders Duel because I've got this one now. I haven't got rid of it. It's over there. I got to get rid of it, but I'm getting rid of it. I'm in the process of getting rid of it. Have been for a while now because I don't need both of them, and the Lord of the Rings version is so good. So that's the Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle-earth. That is my number 7, and that is from Repros Productions. My number 6 is a great game based on an earlier game that I liked, I didn't love, and I really do enjoy this one. This is Clank Catacombs from Direwolf. Now, as I say, I played the original Clank years ago. I had fun with it. I liked it, but I didn't feel the need to hang on to it. So I ended up getting rid of Clank, the original Clank. And then the good people at Direwolf sent me a copy of Clank Catacombs, and I played it with Ray, and it blew me away. I love the procedural generation of the map. It's a very fun way, kind of seeing the board evolve. And I love games where you can kind of actually see boards and the play areas evolve, and it does it very well. It's tense, it's scary as you're trying to get in, but you're trying to get out, but you're trying to get all the loot. It's a wonderful game, and then of course there's the expansion that brings in some new monsters into it, some new tiles. Really, that's layers and secret chambers. I can't remember the title of it, but anyway, it's really a lot of fun. Overall, Clank Catacombs is just an outstanding game, so that is my number 6, Clank Catacombs from Direwolf. My number 5 is kind of the definition of high fantasy. This is a game that came out several years ago, and it was kind of revolutionary. And I mentioned a minute ago the Masters of the Universe game. It owes a lot to this game. This is Conan from Monolith. Conan is this great game where one of you takes on essentially the villain, and the rest of you are heroes. And the villain controls all of the various units on the board. And you've got this thing called the river, where as kind of these tiles slide across the river, they become cheaper to use. And so you use them, they go back, and then they're more expensive. So you can't keep using the same units over and over again if you're the villain. And it really kind of incentivizes kind of being, you know, a larger strategy there with the different units you've got. But it's great. You got great fantasy artwork here, the great fantasy theme, but a really cool and innovative system here. I know Monolith has also got the Batman Gotham City Chronicles, which I have too, which is the same system. I don't know which one I like better. I will say the Batman one seems a little more buggy. It was a little more ambitious, and there was some kind of bugs in the system there that I didn't really get with Conan, but I do like the Batman theme a little bit better. But I just love everything about the Conan. It's a great production. It's great gameplay. I do believe it's out of print. If you can find a copy, pick it up. But this is Conan from Monolith, my number 5. My number 4 is a game that I just played recently, and it's kind of rooted in history, but then it kind of goes into some weird fantasy directions. This is Hoplomachus Remastered from Chip Theory Games. Hoplomachus Remastered is, you're in an arena, kind of a Roman arena. There's different sides of a playmat that you can use that has a little bit of a different experience. But all of your units are chips, and you place kind of poker chips beneath them to show your health. And as you're moving and as you're fighting, the chips have of course, how many die you're going to roll in combat, but there's also all of these different abilities. So you're always looking at what your abilities are and what your enemy's abilities are, because you want to make sure you can do the most damage and they're not going to damage you. It is great, great fun. I really, really like Hoplomachus Remastered quite a bit. It's fun. There's solitaire version within this game, and then of course there's the Hoplomachus Victorum, which is a solitaire campaign, which is excellent. But in Hoplomachus Remastered, I love playing against the human opponent, and I love, like I say, engaging with all these different abilities. There's different tactics, so you can like enhance some of your abilities. You can damage, degrade some of your enemies. Really a lot of fun. Hoplomachus is a great skirmish battle game. Set kind of, as I say, in Rome, but then you've got a lot of fantasy units here. So it really brings in the high fantasy element to that game. So that is Hoplomachus, my number 4 from Chip Theory Games. My number 3, again, this is a game that's kind of unusual. It's like a war game, but not really a war game. Because you don't play, the players don't play you've got all these different armies on a map, but the players don't represent the different armies on a map. Rather, you are all kind of secret societies who are scheming, and you can, through indirect methods, force these armies to go to different places and fight different battles, and you're essentially trying to get them to win in certain areas, because at the beginning of the game, you kind of bet on who's going to win, who's going to come out on top. And so it's a great game of manipulation. And there's some card play in there too. And it's just, the whole theme is outstanding. And the implementation is equally outstanding. And I just got recently the new collector's edition. I'm going to review that shortly. But the edition I had is freaking awesome. And this new edition, I'm really looking forward to playing as well. So that is A War of Whispers. That is my number 3. That is from Starling Games. All right, coming down to the wire, my top 2. My number 2 is a game that for a long time was my favorite fantasy game, bar none, hands down. And this is a game that I picked up like right before it went out of print. It's been out of print for a while, and I'm so glad I got it, although I haven't played it in a while. And this is Conquest of Nerath, D&D Conquest of Nerath from Wizards of the Coast, Avalon Hill. And essentially, this is fantasy, Axis, and allies. You've got 4 different factions on different corners of the board. You got a big sea and an island in the middle. And essentially, that's what you're doing. You got your dragons or bombers, you know, you got knights or tanks or whatnot, and you're fighting each other. And you can fight it like free for all, or you can make alliances. And what I like here too is some of your units, you have like heroes and stuff, can actually go into these dungeons on the board, and they can go and fight, you know, NPCs in these dungeons in order to get treasure and special abilities and stuff like that. It is really well done, and I'm really sad this is no longer a print. I really hope it comes back. I hope maybe Renegade Game Studios can reprint it at some point, because it is so good. Anyway, that is Conquest of Nerath. That's from Avalon Hill, Wizards of the Coast. That is my number 2. All right, if you've been paying attention to the channel recently, you know my number 1 is just an outstanding game, fantasy game. It was my number 1 game of 2024. This is Burning Banners. Burning Banners is excellent. To me, this is the epitome, along with Conquest of Nerath, of high fantasy. Certainly high fantasy war games. There is so much here. You've got all these different factions that have this great asymmetry to them. You've got just an absolutely beautiful board. The board is a work of art. The designer also did the art, and it's just, it's breathtaking. I love it. And then, of course, too, you've got a great combat system where you roll your hits, but then maybe you have to confirm your hits, too. It's great. Everything about this game is awesome. I played, let's see, I played this game 2-player, I played it 4-player, I played it 5-player, and it works great at any player count. Obviously, the bigger player counts are going to be longer games, but every time I played this game, I just have a huge smile on my face. Everybody that I played it with has likewise loved it. It is awesome. I think Compass Games is coming out with an expansion. I'm excited to see what that brings to the game. It's just great. And again, you've got vampires and humans and orcs and goblins, and it's just every faction brings so much to the table here. I want to play it. I'm talking about it. Burning Banners is fantastic. And even if you don't like the fantasy elements, it's just a fun war game. With the map and the units, it's just great. Well, that is my number 1. That is Burning Banners. That is from Compass Games. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me know. What do you think? Do you like these games as high fantasy games? Do you not like these games? I know somebody's going to say Rune Wars. What do you think? What are your favorite games that need to be on this list? I'm excited to know what you would put there. As always, please leave a comment here on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on Facebook, on Twitter. Please, please, please like this video on YouTube and subscribe to the channel. Please give us a thumb on Board Game Geek as well. If you really like what we do here on this channel, please check out my other channel, Cody Carlson PhD, where we talk about military history, books on history, fun things like that. It would mean the world to me if you would subscribe to that channel as well. Also, very important, if you really like what we do on this channel, I would humbly ask you to click on the Super Thanks button and leave a tip. You know, I have a lot of jokes about unemployed people, but none of them work.
Please somebody help me on my feet again, and I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band. God knows that I love to fight, but I don't ever win. It's a fine line to damnation, but God let me in.
What'd you get?
How about a 3 and 3? George?
Dead! Dead! It's 2! Ah! Yeah!
I'm pretty sure